Hello on this wonderful Thursday. Thank you for joining my webinar for quantity takeoffs with Data Wizard from the CIM project suite. My name is Frank Diemert. I'm a technical specialist here with ATG USA. We're going to divulge right into it. I see we have a small group today, so if you have any questions, feel free to chat me and type it out on the chat, and we'll try to get you answered right away. In the introduction to Data Wizard creates project-specific legends and quantity takeoffs of both AutoCAD and Civil 3D objects. Works great with the Civil 3D platform, where the Civil 3D legends usually just pick up what the smart objects. This will also pick up AutoCAD objects. The Data Wizard will scan one or more drawings for all point, line, and or area type objects and create a dynamic AutoCAD table, which will include text and symbology that's typically shown. Objects can include your blocks, your COGO and survey points, multi-leaders, hatches, lines, 2 and 3D polylines, survey figures, feature lines, partial segments, and alignments. Legend and quantify takeoff settings can be saved in different templates for quick and easy execution by end users. So once again, we're working with the Data Wizard. You can create dynamic legends or QTOs, scan one or more drawings or limit your legend to one sheet. Works with all AutoCAD and Civil 3D point, line, and area objects, and has the ability to save templates for easy, repeatable styles and setups. And that's what the actual icons look like that you'll be using on your ribbon. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this and show you guys how this works. Basically, we have a sheet here. We have multiple blocks. You can see we have trees. We have survey objects in here with curbing and also some hatching. So we're going to go ahead and set up a legend by simply clicking the Setup Legend button in the Data Wizard. And it'll bring up a dialog box here. As you can see, you have the option to use the current drawing. You can use external references. You can limit to a layout, which in this case, we're on site plan 1. Or you can actually include different objects or additional drawings and add them here to your list. We're going to start this one with limit it to the single layout. The first thing you want to do is make sure you have the proper layout selected. Once it's selected, you can go ahead and click the next button. When you get in here, you'll see you'll have the option to all kinds of 3D polylines, alignments, blocks, COGO points, feature lines, survey points, survey figures, hatches, lines, multi-leaders, partial segments, and polylines. You can check this button here. It'll check all those objects. You can actually check none of the objects. Or in this case today for our webinar, we're going to use the survey points, the survey figures, and the hatches. Also in this dialog box, you can come over here to there's a filter that allows you to come in here and include certain things. We can pick by layer description, raw description, full description, a point group, or an object style. In this case, I want to go for the symbols, which in my line type would be an SMB layer. So we'll do the symbols and say okay there. In the survey figures, we'll have the same kind of options. In here, we're going to include, always use an asterisk before. We're going to include the line with the asterisk in the layer. So anything that has the line in the layer will also come up. Hatches, we don't really need to worry about that at this time. Basically, it's going to pick up any kind of hatches we have in here. So if you just click the refresh button at this time, it'll show you the total items that are in there. And for each type, we've got 5 different hatches. There's 40 total different survey figures and 525 total items. Now, because of our filters that we selected within these buttons here, we have 25 survey points, 39 of the survey figures, and of course 5 of the hatches. You can now actually go above and beyond that by checking this frozen button. So anything that is frozen in the background, you click that and you refresh, and if there's anything that's frozen, it will actually filter those items out. So from here, we're going to go on to the next tab. And here we're going to see we have our list of survey points. And here we also see we have multiple deciduous trees. So we might want to go back and filter that just a little bit more. We want to include the deciduous trees, but we really don't need in this case to have the object types. And in this case, in this template, what we've got here is any kind of graphic representation, a layer description, the full description of those points, the style name, the count, and the custom description. For this webinar, we don't need all this stuff, so we'll pull up. We want to keep the graphic, obviously. We want to keep the layer description. We're going to keep the full description, get rid of the style name and the count, and also the custom description. As you can see, you have the option to choose any one of these to create your legend. But for now, we're just going to say OK on this. And since I have so many of these deciduous tree labels, which are basically going to be the same label, I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go into my survey points again, into the filter. And under my object styles, I'm going to weed the duplicates. And in the duplicates, I'm going to have the TRD. And again, we have to use the asterisk. So we've got the TRD, asterisk with a comma. Those were the only ones we had in that one. Now, if we click OK on this now, you'll see now you're down to 8 filtered items. So let's go on to the next page again, and we get in here to the survey figures, and you can see everything looks pretty good there. We got a building face, edge of concrete, curb and gutter. And then, of course, our hatches for the 3 different types of hatches. So if we simply click next on this button, it's going to allow us to decide whether or not we want to have uppercase or lowercase. We want a legend title and what that legend title could be. There's also data sorting in here. So if we want to sort these things by layer description, we can do it here, or we can change those to the object or the graphic. In this case, we're going to leave it at layer description and say OK. And then when we click finish, and obviously you have the option to send this also to an Excel spreadsheet. In this case, we don't really need it because we're not showing any quantities here. We're just showing the different, the legend itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish here. And then click here and recreate that legend. Now, as you see, you've got it set here by the building. We've got the hatches all set up. Building face, curb and gutter, the deciduous trees, any signs that are in there, and the storm inlets. And as you can see, they're basically set up to where they are the same, similar or close to the same size, so you can make out what the object is within the legend. We'll move on here now to site plan 2, and we're gonna do another one here for this portion. We're going to go ahead and set up another legend. Current drawing. We want to change this limit to this site plan 2. So I want to make sure I have the proper viewport. And say next. We're going to go ahead and stick with the hatches, the survey figures, and the survey points. We want to refresh that. As you can see in this drawing, there are no hatches, so we really don't need the hatches. And it shows us here we have 0 total items of the hatches. So we can uncheck that box and just leave it at that, refresh again. And as you see, we have our survey figures and survey points. Out of the stuff, if we uncheck this frozen box now, refresh that. The survey figures, we have 76 to 79, and I don't believe it actually changed. So it didn't. So we don't have anything frozen out. So we can come in here to the survey points again. And again, with the survey points, we're going for the symbols. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this because I really don't know if I need that at this point. We'll say okay. We'll come into the survey figures. And again, we're going to include all the lines for the survey figures and say okay. Keep in mind, this is where anytime if you create something and you want to keep it for other sheets or just for other projects, you can save this template here and name it something and place it on your hard drive or on your server, and it will be there forever. And then all you got to do is pull it up on the template when you open up the data wizard. So now I'm going to go in here real quick and I'm going to look at these survey figures. Looks like I got everything in here. I'm going to look at the survey points. Now I'm noticing with this one, I've got storm manholes listed several times. I've got storm inlets listed several times. So, and also the deciduous trees and the coniferous trees. So with that being said, the survey points, these are the labels I'm going to want to use to weed those factors out. So I'm going to go ahead and come back here. And in my survey points again, I'm going to click this. I'm going to go to the object style and weed the duplicates. And we're going to add the catch basins with a comma, space. We're going to do the storm drainage. Whoops. Don't forget the asterisk. Done that too many times myself. The storm drainage manholes with the asterisk and a comma. We're going to do the TRDs for the deciduous trees. And we're going to add the TRC for the coniferous trees. Now we'll say okay. Now we just cut all that stuff down to 4 different objects in our legend. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And again, the data to extract, we're going to do the graphic and the layer description. We'll click next again. And again, we want the legend title in the uppercase. So we'll click finish. We'll add that in here. Let it populate. Now, as you can see, we've got the storm sewer pipe on our legend, the edge of concrete, curb and gutter, the face of the building, the storm manhole, the storm inlet, the deciduous trees, and the coniferous trees. All in one little neat little legend there. And obviously it picked up every object that we had. If this was done in Civil 3D being this pipe style, that's exactly what it would pick up. We're going to take this one step farther now. In some cases, I've seen a lot of engineering firms and stuff, they like to use a legend on their generals. So I basically just created a general sheet here. I'm going to go in here and set up a legend. It makes life so easy to do it this way, a lot easier than trying to do each one or have a bunch of stuff that isn't even in the drawings on your generals. In this case, we don't want to limit to the layout. We want this whole current drawing available. So from here, we're going to go to next. I'm going to uncheck the frozen. I'm going to go ahead and check all these boxes just to see what we end up with. Refresh that. And again, looks like the survey points and the survey figures are the only things we're going to have in common here. And the hatches, obviously. So we're going to run right down through here. We're going to uncheck all this stuff. We could have done it either way and just uncheck none and then come back in here and just grab the hatches and the survey figures. And again, once we get this set up, we can save that template so it knows what it's looking for. We refresh all this, and again, nothing's changed. We're going to try the frozen button because just because I want to see if I lose anything else. We'll refresh that. I think I want to come in here and recheck these survey points because as you see, all this stuff is in here. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out of there. Say okay. And as you see, it changed to the 112. I'm going to check out the survey figures now. Survey figures, everything looks good there. Say okay. Make sure I refresh everything. We're going to come in here and go to next. And grab the survey points. And again, we've got all them storm manholes in here again. All the deciduous trees. If we don't weed this stuff out, we'll have, for every one of these, we'll have the same label showing multiple times. We really don't need that. We only need to show it once. Our survey figures. Oops, survey point. Survey figures. There's the storm sewer pipe, curb and gutter, edge of concrete, and the building face. And then, of course, our hatches. We already know we need to weed some of this stuff out of these survey points. So we're going to come back into here. We'll go to the survey points. And in this case, I was lucky because I just did a cut. I just cut those out of here so I can paste them all back in instead of typing it. Say okay. Go next. We'll do next again. Again, we'll just leave that as our legend. And we'll click finish and place that right here. Let it populate. Now everything that's in this project file is in here. Is there any questions or is there anything anybody would like to see? Again, basically that's all there is to the data wizard. Not a whole heck of a lot going on here. Got the site plan 1 that has its own legend. We have site plan 2 that has its own legend. If you were to come into this site plan also, just so you're aware, if you were to come in here and add some piping or anything else, you'd basically come up here to update your legend. You'd select that legend. Say okay. It's going to process it and it would automatically add anything that you've added to that. For instance, if you show a hydrant in here, or a water valve, or anything else that you can think of, or your sanitary, you start putting sanitary manholes in, and you need to update this legend. That's all you have to do is come in here is update it. If you have a template that you create your legends from, that you have in your standards, you just go find your template. Decide whether you want to do an AutoCAD table. You have the option for a paper space legend in here, model space legend, or a standard legend that was created by Civil 3D.